Hello everyone. I'm sitting down here in the den at the coffee table with my trusty cup of tea and a bowl of cherries. I just came in from finishing the feeding of the alpacas and a little more thought on that barn floor situation that I'm working on. But actually, when I come in from doing all of the outside things in the morning, this is a pretty good time for me to sit with a cup of tea or crochet work or something like that, excuse me, for just a few minutes and connect with you. I brought this bowl of cherries with me because I have been nibbling on them, and they're beautiful, beautiful cherries. You can't get them at all times of the year, so during the summer I really do enjoy them. But cherries, strawberries, apples, and grapes have a special acid in them, which is very beneficial in preventing cancer. So while it's the case that all fruits and vegetables are good that way, these particular four fruits I've always been a bit partial to them, not only because I like them, but because of that. In fact, on strawberries, I just even love the smell of a strawberry. I used to say I'd like to smell like a strawberry. And when I was living in Australia, there was a little company that produced a facial cleansing cream that was in a little container like a yogurt, you know, like Dannon or Yoplait or any of those little yogurts. And they had in it a facial cleanser that was in these containers, a facial cleanser that was the consistency of a yogurt, and it had strawberry, it was called strawberry yogurt, and it smelled like a strawberry, and it was also a rather nice facial cleanser, and I just loved using that for a while I was in Australia. It was just a lot of fun. So, better though to eat real strawberries. But I just thought I'd mention those four fruits to you. I don't especially like summer. I love winters as my favorite season, but I do love the fruits of summer. Strawberries, cherries, mangoes. I love mangoes, but of course they're not native to this area, and you just have to take them when you can get them. But I do love them. Anyway, fruits of that kind, all the summer fruits I do like. Melons, peaches, etc., etc. You know, another thing I noticed from being out in the barn in the morning and having to feed and clean the barn and move some hay and take care of water, all those things, it's good exercise. And I always notice when I come in that I'm much more full of energy. I can be dragging when I go out there, but when I come in, I really feel energized, and I think it's because you get so much more oxygen into you. It's one way of getting your exercise when you have to do things for animals. They are totally dependent upon you, and you just have to do them. If you don't feed them and water them, they're not going to get fed and watered. So it's a good excuse, or they're a good excuse. You have to exercise when you have them. Some people use their dogs that way. You have to walk your dog, unless you have a yard and you just open your door and let it out or something. But dogs are good for that if you have to walk your dog. However, I think something like this, you get something like the alpacas or a horse or anything of that kind, you get more movement of more kinds than just in walking, though walking is indeed fantastic. And before we moved to Winterbrook, I used to walk the dog sometimes, most of the time, in fact every day in the mornings. And I always felt this way then as well. Walking was no problem. Some people would say, oh, we can't park here when you were in a parking lot. It's so far away. Well, if you're used to walking, no, it's not. You just walk. Anyway, so much for that. I think having the animals is a great reason to exercise, or exercise is a great excuse for having animals, something like that. I think tomorrow, or today or tomorrow, I think it's today actually, the yarn is supposed to come for the couple of projects. I actually filmed shopping for these projects on a site called Yarnspirations. A couple of crochet projects that are kind of quick and easy for us to start with. And eventually I'll probably bring out some of my own patterns that I've made over the years. But I thought we'd ought to start with something simple for people, because even if we're veteran crocheters, doing the simple, easy things is always a pleasure. And if we want something more challenging, we'll get to that as we go along. And this way we can include in our crafting those who are just beginning, as well as those who are experienced. So that yarn, however, is supposed to arrive today. I like Yarnspirations because they give you the free patterns, which you can download and print. They give you good pictures, and if you like what you see, you can order the yarn right there, so that your finished project is going to be like what you see in the picture. Now, at times you want a different color or something of that sort, and of course it's always fun to go to the yarn shop, wherever that is for you, whether it's something on the fly at Walmart's or something at a place like Joann or something at a specialty yarn shop. Wherever it is, if you like this sort of thing, you love yarns of all kinds. And of course, you love the lovely yarns like the alpaca yarns and the various kinds of wool. But by and large, for our projects, we will probably use, for the time being at least, probably use just straight old acrylic or cotton yarns, because they're so available. They're inexpensive. Most people can get them and work with them, and they wash terribly well and easily. But we might even get into spinning some alpaca yarn and dyeing it and using it, etc. At any rate, whatever it is, if it's a fiber and you're making something from it, either from crochet or knitting or felting, whatever, it's always a pleasure, and you always get a finished project that's fantastic. So instead of shopping with you online like I tried to the other day and then could not upload that videoing, I'll just tell you about it, and I'll tell you about it when the yarns arrive tomorrow. So that's something to look forward to, and I want you to tell me if you like these projects, if you don't like it. If you have trouble, I'll try to help you with stitches, etc. And what we'll do as we begin is first of all, of course, ball our yarn. I've used hundreds of skeins of yarn without putting them into a ball of it by any means. I have a wool winder, but without putting them into a ball of any kind, just by pulling them out of the skein. And I'm always tempted to do that. But you do have to be very careful, because sometimes in a skein of yarn, it will go along fine pulling it out with that inside thread, but then you get stuck. And if something is pulling, your tension is likely to go off, and you like a nice even tension so that whatever your gauge is, however you've adjusted your stitches or the size of your hook or whatever to get the required gauge so that your end product is the size that you intend it to be. Whatever that tension, which is part of creating that gauge for you, is going to be thrown off if you get stuck. So it is always the wisest to make a ball of yarn. And of course, if you have cats around, they'll love you for it because they can bat that around very easily, much to your chagrin. At any rate, maybe we'll stop here. I'll finish my tea and eat my cherries, and we'll meet tomorrow and get started on some new things. Until then, have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.